During the Vietnam War, profiteering from black market operations was rampant. Although mostly controlled by criminal syndicates and high-level officials, occasionally regular troops attempted to get in on the action. This is a true account of my experience. "What the hell, you got wounded again? You're a real magnet," Sergeant Rogers said, pointing to the blood on the lieutenant's fatigue shirt. "You okay, sir?" Jennings asked. "Give me a break, it's just a scratch," Dawson replied, as he took his place at the picnic table and opened a beer. They had just returned from a target in Laos, where 3 Americans had been lost under strange circumstances on New Year's Day. Speculation swirled about the presence of Chinese troops and NVA sappers in the area. "How many of those guys did you shoot, LT?" A couple of hours before, they had been in contact with a large number of poorly trained enemy troops wearing Chinese-type soft hats. Most of them ran. I just let them go." "You're a real humanitarian, LT." The Brew Mountain Yards on their team were positive they were Pathet Lao, a story Dawson stuck to, even when pressured to identify them as Chinese during their debriefing. "Here comes Captain Courageous," Rogers alerted. During the first week of 1969, after 7 months of running missions out of SOG's remote My Loc launch site, the platoon had been relocated to Command and Control North on the beach in Da Nang. Captain Henry had been put in charge. The first thing Dawson asked him was where they should train. Henry's reply was that they were supposed to be trained, and things had only gone downhill since. Now he stood over the table and demanded to know why they had insisted the enemy they encountered were Pathet Lao and not Chinese. He actually had a certain logic. If they reported they were Chinese, their superiors would have deemed the operation a great success, and since nobody was going to do anything about it anyway, why not just tell them what they wanted to hear? After a while, Dawson tuned him out, but he heard it loud and clear when the captain said, "You know it's CCN policy that you get 1 day off for every day you're in the field for up to 5 days. Finally, after telling Dawson to get his wound checked out, he left. "Do you really think we can take 4 days off, LT? Hey, I have a rule. If a superior officer tells you to do something you want to do, never question it. Just do it." Rogers laughed. "Does that mean the Trang, here we come?" "No, that means the Eden Rock Hotel, Saigon, here we come." "That's pretty far, LT." "There's a lot more planes leaving Da Nang for Saigon than the Trang. By the time we hang around for a flight to the Trang, we can be in Saigon." "Can I go with you guys?" Jennings asked. "Absolutely," Dawson assured him. "But what about the brew?" "That's Captain Henry's problem." "When are we going?" "Tomorrow morning. Pack some civilian clothes, and don't forget your sidearms." "Are you going to tell the captain, LT?" "What is this, a quiz show?" They all laughed. Dawson went to the dispensary. "Back again, Lieutenant?" Sergeant Nolan, the medic, had also come from My Loc. He'd been stitching Dawson up for the past 7 months. They were friends. "Just a scratch. Try to keep the bandage as small as possible. We're going to Saigon tomorrow." Nolan got to work. "Make sure you exchange your script for piastres on the street before you spend it in Saigon." In Vietnam, the soldiers were paid in military payment certificates they called script. The military had started the program in post-World War II Europe to limit inflating the host country's currency. "Why?" Dawson asked. "If something costs 500 piastres, you just pay for it with $5 in script, right?" "Yeah. Just like exchanging script to piastres in the PX. The exchange rate is close to 1-to-1. But if you exchange it on the black market, you get 700 or 800 piastres for the same $5. Nolan told Dawson exactly how to do it. "Is that legal?" "Of course not. CID makes a big deal tracking down regular GIs who are making a few hundred or a few $1,000s changing script. Meanwhile, the real money is being made changing $100 bills. You can almost triple your money on one transaction. But like anything else, that's a game reserved for defense contractors and the people who run this war. Those guys are making millions of dollars. It's the biggest racket in Vietnam. Between making money and shacking up with Vietnamese girls, the bigwigs don't seem to have a lot of incentive to get this war over with." The next morning they met up, and of course, as luck would have it, they ran into Captain Henry. Rogers and Jennings kept looking at Dawson, to see what he was going to do. Henry was still going on about the Chinese. When he finally quieted down, Dawson asked, "Can we bring you anything back from Saigon, sir?" trying to keep a straight face. The captain hemmed and hawed around for a while. Then he told them to be back in 4 days about a dozen times. As Dawson predicted, they didn't have to wait long to catch a flight to Saigon. From the terminal at Tonsanut, they hitched a ride to the main gate, walked down the street to the Arvin Ranger compound, and met a sergeant Rogers knew from Fort Bragg. They changed into civilian clothes, put their fatigues in a locker, and split up, Rogers staying with his friend, while Dawson and Jennings caught a Lambretta taxi heading downtown, agreeing to meet up at the Eaton Rock Hotel in the morning. They rode downtown through the crowded and noisy streets to the Rex Hotel and went up to the rooftop bar. "What's this place?" Jennings asked. "It's where the reporters hang out. The military briefs them downstairs every day at 5 o'clock, Dawson replied, checking his watch. After a couple of beers and some shrimp, he got up and went to the service bar and spoke to a man he figured was a manager. Luckily, he knew enough English to understand what Dawson wanted. "We're going to go exchange some money," he briefly explained to Jennings. 20 minutes later, he saw a kid in black pants, white linen shirt, and slicked back hair approach the manager. The manager pointed at Dawson. The kid came over and said, "You come." They followed him out of the hotel, up the street for a few blocks, and into an alley where 3 men were waiting. Dawson counted out $100 in script, and one of the men counted out 3,500 piastre notes, then rolled them up and put a rubber band around them. MP come, their lookout shouted excitedly. The man thrust the roll of bills into Dawson's hand. "Go now," he said as they quickly disappeared down the alley. After standing there shocked for a few seconds, Dawson and Jennings walked out to the main street, halfway expecting to be arrested. But their way was clear. They went back past the Rex and continued on for a couple of blocks, then turned left and walked until they saw a building lit up in red, white, and blue fluorescent lights. "So this is the Eden Rock Hotel," Jennings said, reading the 4-foot-high letters. "Yep, it's everything you ever dreamed of," Dawson laughed. They went inside to the desk. Dawson requested 2 rooms. He pulled out the roll of bills, removed the rubber band, and started to count. 2 500 piastre notes surrounded a bunch of 20s. He could tell by the look on the clerk's eyes that she knew exactly what had happened. He started to pay from the roll, then thought better of it and paid in script. On the way to their rooms, he told Jennings he had been robbed. Inside his room, he took off his jacket and removed the small bag containing a toothbrush and toothpaste he had attached to the strap of his shoulder holster. Traveling light. He pulled out the Brownie, ejected the magazine, reinserted it firmly, and did a press check to make sure he had a round chambered. 20 minutes later, he was in the bar with Jennings. The band was loud. The girls were yelling,
"You buy me Saigon tea."
Finally, the band took a break. "I'm going to change money again," Dawson said to Jennings. "You crazy?" "Maybe." The deal went down exactly as it had earlier, except when the guy started to count out the piastres, Dawson stuck his pistol in his face, took the money, and instead of giving him his script, he gave him the roll of piastres, as if showing him that he was just getting even, made everything all right. Back at the bar, they had a few more beers and paid for a bunch of Saigon teas to take girls up to their rooms. In the morning, Dawson watched the girl shower. She was pretty. He wished he could spend more time with her, but they had to meet up with Rogers soon. The Eden Rock is one of those Saigon hotels best visited at night with a few drinks. It quickly loses its charm when the sun rises. As he walked through the hotel lobby, Dawson thought he saw a group of Vietnamese cowboys. Hell's Angels on Hondas gathered outside the hotel. Americans were warned not to hang their arms out of cabs because the cowboys would chop off their hand with a machete to steal their jewelry. Paranoid from the night before, he thought they could be waiting for him. Continuing on to the lounge, he ordered a cup of coffee. Jennings showed up a few minutes later. "Are there still a bunch of cowboys outside?" Dawson asked. "I don't know, I didn't look." Dawson got up to check. They hadn't moved. By the time they finished their second cup of coffee, Rogers arrived. "The lieutenant robbed a Vietnamese guy last night," Jennings blurted out. "You know, the last thing I said to Sergeant Kramer when I left this morning was, "I can't wait to see what kind of crap you guys got into last night." "You certainly don't disappoint," Roger said after hearing the story. "Oh, it gets better." "Did you see the cowboys out front?" Dawson asked. "Yeah, they're all over the place. Let me guess. They're waiting for you." "Could be, I'm not sure." "Well, we might as well find out. Why don't you walk outside a few steps, pretend you forgot something, and come back in. We'll watch and see how they react." They were back in 20 seconds. "They're definitely waiting for you. One guy even pointed you out. What do you want to do, LT?" "I only counted 8 of them," Jennings interrupted. "We're all armed. Let's just go face them." "What do you think you are, Green Beret?" Rogers laughed. "Yeah, we'd all end up in Long Bin jail," Dawson said. "Think your friend could lend us a truckload of Arvin Rangers?" "So long as you pay my cab fare back to the compound." "You got it, Sergeant." Sitting in the bar waiting for Rogers, Dawson laughed. "What's so funny, sir? Can you imagine sitting in a bar back in the States with a motorcycle gang waiting outside to kill you? Here it's just another day in SOG." As they got their third beer, they heard the unmistakable sound of the deuce ring outside. Taking their beer with them, they left the hotel and climbed up into the bed of the truck, joining a half a dozen combat-loaded Arvin Rangers. The M60 machine gun was a nice touch. You will find my book Dawson's War worthwhile. Rather than just accounts of MACV-SOG's various missions, Dawson's War is the story of 5 men, 3 Americans and 2 Brew Mountain Yard mercenaries. I'll take you with us for a year. You'll get your fair share of gunfights in Laos, because we did. But SOG was so much more than gunfights. SOG was a brotherhood, and unless you experience the camaraderie we shared, you can't really know SOG. Through Dawson's War, these 5 men will become your friends, and like we do, you'll miss them when it's over. In the end, you'll be able to answer SOG's most asked question: what kind of men ran these dangerous missions? Get a copy today at Amazon. Thanks.